Councilwoman Mitchell.
Almighty Father, we ask that you bless our community and guide us here in this meeting tonight. Guide our council people, our mayor, our staff, and our residents to always make the best decisions for our community. We thank you for your grace. Amen.
Amen. Say the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your chest. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have opening remarks from, boy, this is no good. I'm looking over here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Opening remarks
that one.
from the manager.
Let me read the memo that's located in section 1 of your binder. In preparation for the first budget workshop scheduled for August 7th, 2018, we're presenting council with the fiscal year 18-19 budget book, which includes various options and alternatives to assist council in making sound financial decisions when addressing the proposed fiscal year 18-19 budget, which maintains the millage rate at the current rate of 7.3575 and generates a surplus of $140,582. For fiscal year 2018-19, each 1/10 of a mil is worth approximately $113,877 in ad valorem revenues. The total general fund budget is $16,942,145, of which $10,755,488, or 63.5%, represents employee salary and benefits. This leaves $6,186,657 to cover all other city needs. The following are more significant budget assumptions. The initial proposed budget maintains the millage at the current rate, provides a surplus, and maintains and/or improves the current levels of services. The proposed fiscal year 18-19 budget includes the addition of 1 police officer, which will increase the number of uniformed officers from 43 to 44. This is the first increase in at least the past 20 to 30 years. Police budget also includes the replacement of existing computer software, which has become outdated and inefficient. The fiscal year 18-19 budget includes an estimated $261,000 in debt service payments to cover the first payment for the senior center construction loan. The public works budget includes the addition of 2 maintenance workers, 1 to help the building maintenance staff, and 1 to help with public properties function citywide. The health insurance renewal for next year is 8.2% higher. Fiscal year 18-19 budget includes a 3% COLA for all general employees. Total cost of this is approximately $112,058. The police budget includes a 3% pay increase for all uniformed officers in accordance with the current contract terms. Want to read the rest of it? Number 7.
The budget assumes a 1.5% cost of living increase for all operating expenditures, examples, fuel, utilities, supplies, etc. This general fund budget request also contains approximately $1,651,608 in capital expenditures for police vehicles, equipment, and software, golf maintenance equipment, and a new golf cart barn. Citywide infrastructure, including replanting islands in the downtown area, ball field renovations, renovations of 3 of the 5 tennis courts, and a new pool vacuum. See page 1-3. However, the budget impact of this for fiscal year 18-19 will be $464,029, since $1,470,472 of the capital expenditures will be paid through a 5-year lease with annual payments of approximately $322,893. Budget includes $45,000 for the city's lobbyists. The projected loss at the golf course is approximately $433,798. The public works budget includes $50,000 for citywide tree planting and $100,000 for tree trimming. Council budget includes a $35,000 funding request from CMI for next fiscal year, and $14,000 from the River Cities Festival, and $29,000 request from the Historic Museum for construction and storage costs. The police budget includes $105,926 in retirement payouts for 3
with previous budget workshops. Some of the proposed reductions affect service levels and some do not. Some affect employee pay and benefits, while others affect subsidies. Page 1-5 lists some budget considerations that are not included in the base budget discussed above, but are presented for council discussion and consideration. Some of these items include improvements in technology and equipment for the Parks and Recreation Department, police, city clerk, human resources, and professional services. I have also included page 1-6 to this memo, which shows the status of our current fund balance. We project that as of the end of this fiscal year, we will have $3.8 million required under a 25% policy, since we have been adding to the fund balance the last 2 fiscal years to be incurred and had to be paid out from fund balance. We did receive one payment this week for about $7,000. So that was one of the that was when the elevator went down, and so they do it by work projects, so they're paying the little ones first. They haven't gotten to the big ones yet. Page 1-7 is a financial dashboard showing the history of millage rates for the past 16 years, as well as fund balances during these years. Page 1-8 provides council with a graphic view of the city's funds in their relation to each other and to the general fund. And with that, we can start on section 2, which is the city council budget. We refer you to page 2-4, and let me just read some of the budget highlights that are on page 2-3. The proposed city council budget is $3,566, or 2% higher than the current year. Increase is due to additional funding for council travel and education and training costs. The promotions line item is a lump sum of $105,060 to be allotted during the year as follows. $41,060 to be allocated during the year for the following events, and you have the listing of all the events there. Number 2, $35,000 has been allocated to the Curtis Mansion to assist with their annual operating costs. Number 3, $3,000 has been allocated to the Historic Museum for storage costs. That's $500 per month for 6 months. And an additional $26,000 has been budgeted to assist in the capital renovation costs of the Stafford Park facility. And as I've done in past years, I've asked both CMI, River Cities, and the museum folks to be here tonight in case you had any questions for them. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Erica if you have any questions on the council budget. Ooh.
Under the council budget?
Yeah.
Those are for either trainings, let's see, educational seminars and trainings.
Those are like the ones we had here not too long ago about the
Correct,
ethics.
right, to host trainings as well.
All right. That's all I have, Mayor.
How much of this year's budget did we spend on training? And that in that column, how much have we spent this year?
We spent 500?
500?
500.
500?
500.
And we
The
budgeted,
balance is
and,
1,500.
huh?
Because your balance is 15.
What do you want to know? How much they spent in training?
In
Yeah,
training,
in that budget.
In
right?
education and training? Hold on.
See 500.
Oh, 500 was the budget. Let's see what they have spent so far.
Increased it by 1,500.
Nothing.
We haven't spent anything in that,
It was budgeted for 500.
and we didn't spend any of the 500 for training or nothing like that. Where does the money come that when we go to visit,
If you look at pages 2-6 and 2-7, she has provided a breakdown under each line item. So if you look at 2-7, under
$2,000.
Training.
Under travel and related
Right.
costs, that's where it comes out of.
okay.
That also increased due to the number of you attending a lot of more events as well.
And you?
Correct, well, that's in my budget.
Oh, it's in your, Stand corrected.
I'm glad she straightened you out. Yeah.
Maybe some of that should be applied to the clerk's budget.
Well, I think that's something that whatever we spent this year, it doesn't look like we're going to spend the next year that same amount. If we can occur some savings there, maybe we can put it into the event budgets for some of the things that might come down the road for the circle and different things that, for instance, I have later on in the year, I have a request that somebody wants to put a concert on. And
Who does?
I don't know the girl's name, but she was in one of the stars. She came in second place, and she'd like to put a concert on our city. So I'm thinking about putting a little more money into that budget for things that come up to if we have to help somebody
Sure.
with something. So
Okay, so you want me to reduce that to 500, keep it as it was?
yes, I do. I mean, I need
I have
support.
The education and training?
Yeah.
The yes, the 15.
Is there anything on the horizon that would
We're in
kind of
first one.
allow for that? I mean,
tab 2. Yeah.
I know the two new members attended the emo
Correct.
training, which was something that wasn't budgeted, but we did find money in other places under the travel related costs.
Right.
Which probably explains why the $500 wasn't used for this year. So
Mayor, what you're suggesting is bag 15 here?
Yeah. And maybe move that into the events budget for miscellaneous.
The promotions.
Yeah, from
Add it to
promotion. Yeah.
So you want to keep the 500?
Yeah.
And, okay.
Anything else on the
I'd like to bring
it
something up.
is the new chairs up here in this budget?
it's in the wish list.
It's on the wish
That's on the
list.
wish list.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm looking at 1-4, and I have a question. Where you have capital expenditures, golf, recreation, police, and public works. Under recreation, why don't we have anything related to the exercise area in the community centers? That fall in there? Because I've had several residents complaining about the condition right now there.
Well, when we go do the recreation budget the next time,
Okay.
what's on page 1-4 is, under recreation, is what's in the budget now that he requested for capital expenditure.
Okay.
Yeah, when we do his budget, then we can talk about
Okay.
you talk about the exercise machines?
Yeah, the exercise machine and just that room in general and how it's kept up, and the treadmills with the power cords on the floor and people disconnect. I mean, it's like a bit of a liability. I'm sure we have a contract on that, on the equipment. We should spend some money in making that little recreation area, the exercise room, better.
All right, so that's for the recreation budget. Anything else on the council budget?
How popular is the community shred event?
Very popular.
Barry.
Okay, thanks.
I'm just wondering, why are the cell phones so expensive? Why is it $3,500 for
For all 5 cell phones
Right.
and tablets. I think that also includes the data for the tablets as well.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa. I don't have one.
No, I know, but
Oh.
it's the iPads carry
Oh,
a data
these.
service plan for them. So in case there's no Wi-Fi available, that would be included in that budget.
Have we looked at that in the past
I
to
know
see if that
2
could be
years
brought
ago
down?
we
Because it
did, or
seems,
the year before this
Mhm.
one, we looked into the pricing, and I think the best deal at the time was a Verizon plan. It was paid for the year, so.
could we look again if that was 2 years ago? Because the cell phone is constantly changing.
We could go with Cricket.
Or the track phones. We get them at Walgreens. in the
Cricket
car.
or Boost. But I think that it's worthy to do that. Seems like a lot of money.
Okay, I'll check with George on that.
All right, that's something we'll come back to and see what you come up with.
And then-
Mayor.
And remember, I don't have a cell phone from the city either, so I don't need service for my cell phone.
Oh, so that's only 3 that get it. I don't either, Bill.
Yeah.
Correct, but all 5
But the
tablets would
tablet,
have
yeah.
data,
The
data
iPads.
plan.
The iPad.
Okay.
Yeah. You done?
I had another.
Go ahead.
Erica is there, or William, Tammy, under the printing and binding. This seems to be the same from last year. Do you see anything there that possibly this year would be duplicated? That we wouldn't need?
Erica?
Well,
Like the business cards,
for council,
are those all?
we've had to reorder a couple of times and it's increasing. It's, you know, we've shopped around as well as pricing per 500. We've even gone to 1,000 at one point. I mean, that's up to you.
Well, remember, you'll have a new council too.
For the
April.
upcoming election as well. I mean, if
So you have
there's any changes in that.
Okay, no, I'm just asking if that's something that every year is exactly the same, or I would think every other
the
year
same.
might vary.
Well, the price has gone up in
Okay.
business cards, if that's.
Oh.
Go ahead.
William, can you break down the executive salary?
Yeah. Look at page 2-8.
Two
Oh,
dash.
2-8. I'm on the wrong page. So, the mayor's salary is what?
7,800.
And our salary is 6,000, correct?
6,000.
6,000, not
Correct.
5,000.
Right.
6,000.
6,000.
Thank you.
What, he had it wrong or something? What's your point?
That's it, man.
All right. Anything else on the council's budget?
Let me clear that up because I see a lot of
Yeah.
wondering. I see
think
a lot
you
of
should.
wondering eyes.
I think you should.
The vice mayor and I had a little discussion regarding the salaries, so I just wanted to clarify it because
We were sitting at a graduation for the.
you don't have to tell them the details.
Oh, yes, because
Why
everyone
not?
was construed, and I don't know how the comment came that he said, we do 6,000. I said, I thought we only did 5,000. I didn't pay attention to it. And so he just wanted to show me that he was right, and I was
just want to
wrong.
verify that
It's a gender thing, it's fine. Okay,
I
that's
just
fine.
want to verify that I don't spend more than I'm making is what it was.
I would like to
I
make.
know how she made that mistake. She sees a teacher, school year is 10 months. And you guys get 500 a month. So she figured times 10 months is 5,000.
Yeah, but I work 12 months. My mortgage is due all 12 months.
But that said, that last line on page 2-7, when it says total city council budget with salaries underlined 180,000, caught my eye because I'm going, wait a minute. And it's really just 31,000 of that is the salaries. The rest is the.
All my
the
secrets
budget.
are getting out, huh?
It's pretty funny. Okay.
That's it, man.
Okay, anything else on the council's budget? Okay, let's go to the city clerk's budget.
I made these people come for no reason.
Oh, no.
I-
Oh, is this a time to ask?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, but I don't.
All right,
If you
let's
want
do
them to
it.
talk, but I don't see any reason.
Well, they submitted letters. We should hear
Yes.
from them, yeah.
I'd like to
thought
speak to the
we were gonna go
CMI.
next with them, yeah.
CMI.
All right, who do you want to hear from first?
CMI?
Okay, because, we don't see CMI till the first budget meeting of the year,
Well, they're here. Let's talk to
I
them.
know,
then.
no, they never come to give us a report or anything once or twice a month or once every 3 months, but they're here for their 35,000,
So you're requesting them to come more often? Is that
I
what-
would think that they should come and give us a
To put
report
'em on
every
the
now and then.
agenda then.
No, they need
No?
to ask the manager that we would like to do a presentation to the city council and the community that support us. We like to give you instead of just once a year in August 6th or 7th. I'm surprised that they got the note that we're on the 7th instead of the 6th. Go ahead, you have the floor.
She doesn't have a speaker. It's a mic. William, she doesn't have a mic. Do you want them to sit here?
Duly noted, Mayor.
Thank you.
Actually, I talk to William and Tammy on a pretty regular basis, and Anna and the other Tammy
Here.
have been, well, I just was going to tell you how wonderful they all are, so we keep in pretty close contact. But I hear you, so I'll be happy to come more often if that's what you'd like. Do you have any specific questions?
Well, I have a remark. I want to commend you because I think, I don't know about you folks, the mayor and Councilman Best probably, but we never had such a detailed income statement or whatever it's what you're calling it from CMI. I don't know, never have I ever had anything like this. This is very detailed, very, I mean, clear to read, and we see what you're doing with the money.
Well, thank
and
you.
what you're going to do with the money we're going to give you. And I want to thank you and commend you for what you all
Thank
do over
you.
there and for doing this.
That's appreciated. And part of what I've been trying to do, and I spoke to you about this last year, is building up infrastructure, but that's not just brick and mortar. It takes a team. When I was hired, I was told, let's get this to the next level. I can't do it by myself. One salesperson cannot do it by themselves. We have a group now of some part-timers there, and we need to pay them, and that's what it's taking. One of which is a bookkeeper. We were well past operating as a mom-and-pop shop even when I got there. I saw that immediately. So what you're seeing are the fruits of her labor as well. She's doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Again, nobody's working a 40-hour week. They're all part-timers. But it's making a difference, and it's helping me. I think one of the things that I underestimated about this job was how much of my time will be spent dealing with house issues and maintenance issues, that most executive directors probably don't have to deal with. And that was okay. I knew that going in. But it's a lot. You need a team. So thank you for acknowledging that.
How is business?
Business is good. We, summers are our biggest challenge. We took a hit with Irma, as everybody did. That was unfortunate, but we only actually lost one event from it. We were all out there picking up, and then once the city residents were taken care of, the city did come in and help us a few weeks later with some of the big things we couldn't handle, but we managed to pull it together and only lose one event, which was remarkable, truly.
Mayor, I have one more question.
But summer is challenging. I will tell you, where I use the $35,000 mostly is to get us from May through September. So I know you want us to be self-sufficient, and we're doing pretty well most of the year, but those are challenging months. And yes, there are ideas of how to build up revenue during the summer, but frankly, summer's challenging for all venues in
Sure.
South Florida, and we have one issue because our biggest sales is for the courtyard, and we can't seat more than 110 people inside. And sure, I've heard we'll put an awning out there. Well, that's fine as long as there's not an electrical storm. So, we have those kind of challenges. Believe me, we're always brainstorming how we can do better in the summer. But for instance, this year, we just purchased a new software program that we're all having to learn that will help us with our booking. Again, it was being handled kind of in a mom and shop way because the revenue wasn't there in the previous years. Now we see what we needed to do, and we got a software program. We had 71 events already up until 2020 that we're having to work with. So we've got mirror images of old events and then the new events coming in, and 2 different programs we're running. Again, a challenge, but we're gonna be just fine. We're also closing our vendor lists like other venues do, where we can get percentages from that. So I expect revenue will continue to drive up, and I would hope that at least in the near future you can still continue to help us at least get through these summers until I can figure out how to get in more revenue in the summer. It's tough, and I've built a team and I want to keep them together. So that's kind of where we're at.
You have the
Right.
camp, right? I mean, that's one thing you have going, right? I mean,
Camp Invention, that we do not make money off that.
Okay, that was
We
just-
supply, just so you understand how it works. That's through the National Inventors Hall of Fame, and we basically supply the venue. They are charged, the families are charged, but it goes through for the director of that event and all the staff it takes. I forget what it is. You have to have.
But it's
yeah, you have to have so many
Yeah.
kids per an instructor.
it's,
So
it's depleted by that then.
yeah,
Mm.
but
Mayor,
it's great. It's very popular.
Yeah.
Just have one last question. The fact that you don't have the lights on the parking, is that impacting your business in any way?
I don't believe that it's impacting our business, quite honestly, but it is a huge liability. It is a concern. And when we have over 124 people at an event, as you know, we, by law, are city guidelines, whatever the term is, have to have valet and off-duty security. So that helps us feel more secure that everyone's taken care of. But, you know, when we have these public speakers every month, I usually have one person with me and maybe a family member, and we keep a very close eye as people, you know, are leaving, because it is pitch black out there. And we've put some solar lights, you know, the things that we could afford, you know, around the house, but they're very directional. They don't cover a great area. You know, it's still it's a need and is a liability we should all be concerned about. But does it stop us? No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm reading that the AIE Charter is going to be having an honors class on weekdays starting in the fall. Tell us a little bit about that. Sounds interesting.
Yes, well, it's a nice synergy because I'm sure many of you know that's the former Glenn Curtis Elementary School.
Right.
And they had come over and we talked about a few things, and then they approached me about an honors class coming in there. And so I've worked a deal with them, some of it barter, some of it a little bit of cash. But we had some needs that we wanted that the school system was able to provide in exchange for the classes. So they start August 24th or 25th, and they'll go through the school year. It's an honors class. It was going to be photography and art. Now they just want to do photography in the carriage room from 8 to 10 a.m. They have their own security, 2 teachers. They bring them. They leave in a bus. It's all very organized. I just met with them last week. So we're excited about it. I think it'll be nice.
I think that's great to start getting the schools involved. Have you done any work with production of educational materials to bring kids from the schools into the mansion?
Well, with Curtis Explorers, we were able to get into the Dade County school system on a larger scale, and I was thrilled about that, the essay contest.
Right, I was there when the awards, and I think that's great because it gives students and families exposure. But I mean, the actual tying it to the curriculum that the school system has, specifically in the 4th grade where they study the history of Florida, and and I know that at the beginning you and I spoke very briefly about this, getting some pre-visit materials prepared for them.
Yes, and you're right. It's something that we should do. I actually took a meeting with History Miami recently, and I was very impressed with, they have an education director, and I was like, wow, okay, so this is how you do it.
I used to be their education director years back, so I know what they do.
It was great, and we talked about maybe working together on the Curtis Explorers essay contest. They were interested, so that was great. They gave me some good tips. Have I done it yet? No, but it is on my radar, definitely.
They get a lot of kids coming into History Miami that Miami-Dade County Public Schools pays for because they've tied it into the curriculum.
That's fantastic.
That's what I want, you know, you to do eventually.
I hear you. And with the essay contest, a lot of the kids that came, you know, they were given as an assignment by their teachers because we were able to get into those meetings with the schools. So their teachers had them do it as an assignment, and many of them had never heard of the mansion, never heard of Miami Springs Glen Curtis, so that was wonderful. And the other quick thing I just wanted to tell you is with the Miami-Dade Public Library system, they turned me on to a thing called the Museum Pass.
Right.
If you're not familiar, it's great because a family of 4 can check out a museum pass just like you would check out a book. So every Saturday now, because we've got a nice little core of docents that have worked really hard to give a good 1-hour historical tour, every Saturday we have families in, and they're driving from all over the place. We're averaging 15 to 25 people a week. I think for a venue our size, that's fantastic. None of them are from the Springs. It's wonderful when Springs residents come, but I am excited about getting the word out into the larger community. So I'm really happy that it's bringing the kids in. That's how that's how you get Glen Curtis's name, you know.
Do you make any money off of that?
We charge for it, but with the museum pass, it's free. If someone wants to come in, we charge $5, but it's not about making money as far as I'm concerned. It's about the exposure. When we do group tours, then it's more about making a little bit of money. But again, we're not making any, you know, huge income based on Saturday tours. That's not the idea. We just want to get them through the door and that they see it. For me, it's all about history. The other kinds of tours, people doing an event, they're there for a very different reason. But like you were just talking about, getting the kids there or on the curriculum or whatever, that's going to get Glenn Curtis's name alive, like Flagler, Brickell, Merrick, all these others that Miamians should know. They should know who he is, just for what he did in Dade County alone. 3 major municipalities.
Anything on the motion picture front relative to utilizing the facility any further?
You mean for rentals?
Yeah,
We
for
do
actually
shoots.
for shooting pieces.
Yeah, we do shoots once in a while. I actually was on the phone with Telemundo last week. A lot of times with the larger,
That's what I'm referring to.
yeah,
Because of the
they
stateliness of the building and the historical.
Well, I worked in production for 25 years, so
Huh?
I know it very well. They
Oh.
come in and they take over.
Do you actually attempt to allow to reach out to these production companies and
Sure, we're on
advise them of the
loca-
availability?
Sure, we're on location sites. We are. Yeah,
Okay.
they know we're there. We get a lot of calls for day shoots,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. If it gets into multiple days in the high season, it becomes tough.
That can be
because
pretty
our
lucrative,
week-
though, as far as.
It can be lucrative, but you're shut down. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I may, remember a couple of months ago, we brought you an agreement with the county for the filming.
Yes.
We finally got it today. It was approved by the board.
Interesting.
They're gonna be out here, they're making arrangements with Anna.
30th,
on the
August
30th,
30th.
take Pictures of the different spots we have in the city.
And the mansion is one of
And
the.
the mansion is
Oh,
one of
great.
Perfect.
We're in front of the county for filming and all that. They'll have us select.
Right. Good. Good. Wonderful. Any
Thanks.
other
That's
questions?
fine, thank you.
No?
Yeah, Councilwoman Mitchell has a question.
Okay.
Linda, first of all, thank you for everything you're doing with the Curtis Mansion. You and Sherry are just fantastic, and
I
I've had so
appreciate
many
your support. too.
comments
Thanks.
from people who work with either of you, and a lot of people who have booked weddings with Sherry, and they're just really all are great.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell
Um,
her you said so.
I wanted to ask you just in looking, and one of the things I wanted to mention, when you have visitors coming in for the tours on Saturday, I think that we benefit as the community from that, because a lot of people then come into Miami Springs to maybe have lunch at one of our restaurants and stuff. So,
That's one
whether
of-
or not you're making money from it directly, it helps promote visitors to our community and helps our restaurants and shops. So
That's
think
one of
that's
the
really
things
important.
that when we're training docents that I tell them, I want you to, we try to get kind of personal with each group. Where are you from? And like I said, a lot of them are driving up from some Homestead or Broward or wherever. And we always give them a map of Miami Springs. We ask them, are you going to stay? You should check out our little town. Do you want to have lunch? And we, send them on their way. And we
Good.
mention all the little restaurants. And they always get a kick out of it. And we also tell them where the other, Pueblo Revival homes are if they want to drive around Deer Run, Hunting Lodge. So definitely, yes,
Good.
there is a benefit to the community.
Okay. And I just wanted to ask you, I saw you mentioned on here that you started charging for the preferred vendors list, which looks great. It's like 15,000 this last year that you weren't getting before, so that's
Right. Now, honestly, I don't expect to see a huge jump in that this coming fiscal year because of the 71 existing contracts we already have out. However, we are going to start it. We're closing the list. We'll have a preferred list and we'll have an all-inclusive list. The all-inclusive will be a little harder to sell, but they have to do one or the other. So with the preferred list, we get 7% off each vendor, whatever it is that the client is billing. So it should help. I think we'll really see a return on that in the next fiscal year especially. But this year we're going to get a little bit of both.
And then I wanted to ask you with the events, I know last year you had the same amount, almost 15,000 with the events, but this year none. What do you forecast on that? Do you see?
How many events?
Well, because last year there was like 15,000 in revenue from those events, the Smithsonian and the Latinos and
Oh,
whatever.
you're talking about the other income. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I wasn't following
Sorry.
you.
No, I'm saying one
Um,
kind of offset, you got it with the vendors, but then you lost it with these events that were there from the year before. Do you forecast being able to bring in those events again, these with the Smithsonian and what do y'all call them? Well, events, 64.
Well, the Smithsonian was, honestly, I didn't have anything to do with that. You're seeing that from Joe Ellen's doing with a grant. That was a grant, and that was an exhibit, which ended right before I got there. In all honesty, I have not put the effort into grant writing that she probably did, because when I came in, I felt infrastructure was the thing that needed to be addressed first. I want to get to the point to be able to do that kind of thing, but as I know I've told you before, when I came in and there wasn't a phone that you could put on hold, understandably so, there had been no money. Those are the things I made my priority, you know. So yes, I would like to get to that point and get some exhibits through there. That's one of the ideas maybe for summer. But grant writing is tedious, time consuming, and right now I'm feeling like I'm trying to just run a small business and it will come.
It's
you know?
just that that's about half of the money that we're giving you, the
The
35,000.
Smithsonian?
Well, the 15,000 that was brought in the year before. It's 14,000 something year before last on those grant events. So it would be helpful if
I see your
y'all could
point.
try out for that.
Yeah, I see your point. Okay.
Anything else?
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Well, when do you want me to come next?
You figure out when you have something
But
that you want
do I
to.
have to have an appointment? I can just show
You
up?
could show up.
All right.
We'll give you 5 minutes.
All right.
Anytime.
Get ready.
Anytime. I don't.
Thank
Hey,
you.
I think it's great for you.
I'm teasing you.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
know.
Bye.
All right. Who we want to listen to now?
I think we have,
No, I think Mary.
that want to give us an update on the Stafford facility.
I want to hear from Tom too, man.
Whatever you guys want.
Yes.
Yeah. Give her the mic.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
The current update is that we are pending the agreement so that we can execute it with the contractor. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And we're anxiously awaiting that document, and we're getting ready to move forward on that. We need to sit down with William and walk through, because I haven't walked through this before, but how the funds, get distributed and how we walk through the invoices. So once we have that agreement, we can sit down and go through it and make sure that we're on the same page, as far as that line item goes. But that's where we're currently at. We're still waiting for that final document.
But you're shovel ready, basically.
Basically, yes. Thank you very much. We are. We're so excited about that. So.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Have a
We
good
see that on the
evening.
horizon.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank you
evening.
very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure, Tom.
Anybody after this?
Nope.
Okay.
So Tom, you made money this year, right?
Slightly, yes.
Good.
Not much. It helped pay some of the losses from the prior year.
I
So
read somewhere that you were close to break-even point, and when I did my math, it looked like you were over your break-even point.
well, it was like $1,000 or
Yeah.
something.
Well, listen to this, $1,000.
No, I'm not diminishing that fact. It was good, and if we ever have 3 full days without without rain and having to shut down early, maybe we can make more and ask the city for less. I mean, that certainly is.
What do you mean shut down early?
We shut down early this year
Because of
again.
the weather.
The rain.
Oh, the weather.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're
last
not.
year.
It was because of the weather.
No, weather I'm
Okay,
talking about.
okay.
I'm talking about. We haven't had 3 days without rain in
3 years.
since I think 4 years since I've done it. But we're moving along, and we want to get started again on next year. It's going to be April 12th through the 14th, 2019, and I have my volunteers ready to start meeting in October, and we'll get going.
I'm a little disappointed on some of the monies you got from some folks. I don't want to single anybody out, but you know who I'm
Of course,
talking about.
yes.
We need to work on that because that's not acceptable.
And
Well, some
And-
cities that aren't giving.
Oh, wait a
sorry?
minute.
There are some cities that are not donating
Right.
any money to them too.
Right. I think we need to work on that. Maybe you can get like a little board or somebody just to concentrate on fundraising for you. So
we'd
that
love
way-
to have a major sponsor. We try to get some sponsors for the event, but mostly it's vendor fees and
No, right, but I'm saying get like a little team together. Remember, I was part of the of the River Festival.
If I could say something, I think part of his reasoning why he can't get the major sponsors is because it's not a nonprofit event anymore. And I believe that if it was, I can remember maybe a couple years before you took it over, and I commend you for what you do. But we had some golden sponsors, we had different things, and sometimes government money that could be allocated to your event is a little bit held back because of the fact that it's a profit situation. And I told you this a couple years back, and I still feel if you are a nonprofit situation, I think that all of us could actually help you in raising money for your situation. But people have second thoughts about giving money to sponsor things when it's a fact. I mean, you can debate me, but that's a fact.
A title sponsor who is, we try every year for a title sponsor that, would contribute, and I don't know that that is a factor, but it's possible.
That's my opinion anyway.
But Tom, what I'm referring to is maybe get a little group of folks that all their job is to go out and fundraise for you. That's it.
That's easy to say, but we have we have a volunteer group, and nobody is has the time to I have a business to run, I have a newspaper to put out, and I have a bottom line there that I have to worry about on a weekly basis. So we're all volunteers. Nobody is making any salary. Nobody's making a lot of money. So I want to dispel any rumors to that effect.
You mean like you write in the paper?
Yeah. What's that?
Like you write in your columns.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, Tom, is it not true that you're currently looking for somebody to do advertising for you? That would kind of fall into that category in a way. You could probably tie it together.
Certainly possible, and we have had some people, some people who I paid some commission to, who have sold some vendors, and I'm certainly open to those things. So.
Gotcha.
I want to throw something else out here, William, which I don't know if this is the right time or place, but I'm going to do it now. I was going to call you and say I would do it at the next workshop meeting, but I just want to get an idea whether we get calls every week, okay? We get calls every week for this publication. I know print publications are not the most ideal things these days, but I get calls every week about this.
What is it?
This is the Springs Directory.
Springs Directory.
I put it out every 2 years for over 20 years. And we haven't put out one in 2014-15. And I will not put another one out unless I get support from the city. So I'm just throwing that out. If you guys, in your workshops want to talk about it or think it would be beneficial, I don't know. But I use it every day.
But
and I know a lot of people use it.
Home phones only? It's home phones,
No,
right?
cell phones. We would have a different game plan if we do it again. And I wouldn't be asking, or I wouldn't ask for the contribution that you did for this. For this publication, the city gave $5,000 each year out of the budget. 2014, 2015. I wouldn't ask for that kind of commitment because we were going to do this differently. We're going to see what interest we have and get people to pay for it, or to not necessarily deliver it to every home in Miami Springs, because I want to make sure that we get the costs in line, and I really don't know how much interest there is in advertising. There was been interest over the years in advertising. You guys had the center 2 pages and the page up front, the directory page. Where is it? This page. So that was all part of what we did. So I'm just throwing it out there. If you guys have you don't want to spend a couple $1,000s a year for the next 2 years to do it, it'll go on the shelf, and I'm not going to do it. So it's just an idea and just a thought that I want to throw out here. If there's an interest, we can talk about it at the next workshop.
There was a time when that was a staple in this town.
20 years.
That production.
Every 2 years I did
it. Sure was.
For at least 20 years.
Tom, talk to us about because the average person thinks about something like that anymore, the pen and paper, which I have no problem with, but others might. including cell phone numbers.
Yes,
in it.
well,
I don't know what the
what we did in the
rulings are.
past is we bought a telephone list from Bell South,
Okay.
which would include all the businesses and all the home phones. Then, if we were to do it again, we would go on a soliciting campaign for residents to put whatever number they wanted in there. So we would have a lot of cell phones. We'd have a lot more cell phones. It would be different, you know, how things have changed since 2015 in the phone business and in cell phones. So I'm just throwing it out there. So I'm leaving it in your court to decide. If you guys say you have no interest, then I'm not going to do it. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you.
Can we look at it?
Sure, you can pass it. But like Bob said, it was a staple here in the Springs for, even before I did it. John Stadnick used to do it, and it's been around since the 1950s. So, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to the city clerk's budget.
Yeah, that's on page 3.5. The proposed city clerk budget is $11,070, or 3.9% higher than the current year. Increase is mainly due to the cost for the 2019 election, as well as increases in health insurance costs and the 3% COLA for all employees.
Where?
And her breakdown is on page 3.5, and on page 3.7 and 3.8, you'll find a breakdown by line item.
So William, the city clerk's window is not part of this, right? No.
If we're gonna give the city, if we're seriously considering doing that for the clerk, the window. No, but if we are, if we think, we gotta find somewhere where
to do it,
we can get a little bit of money out of one budget to help her out with it.
Is this so she can see outside?
Yes.
Look at the rooftops.
I can see for miles, right?
I'm gonna fix something up for you, Erica.
Okay.
That'll save us the 5,000.
Yeah, but it's not virtual, is it?
Well,
Is there any questions on the budget?
I think I had one. Is the I think I wrote the upcoming November. This doesn't fall on this budget, right?
I would be billed after, you're saying
The special
election?
yeah.
Yeah, I would be billed after October, so it's included in
This budget.
the 18-19 budget.
I thought that was being paid for. The special election question.
The mailing costs. The mailing costs and
I
all
thought
that. of the
that
special election.
they're paying for that, the
Yeah.
company, but they're not paying for the election itself?
Actual election itself, no.
Okay, but they're helping us out with
the mailing.
with mailing, okay.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay.
What kind of numbers are we looking at for the window, Mayor?
I think she said it was what, how much is it?
I quoted 4,000?
You had quotes done on it
Yeah, well, that's the quote I got from Public Works.
from Public Works?
A while ago, too.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead
Is that a
and,
high impact window?
It would be, you're saying for her?
do you have anything in the budget that you don't need right now that's in here that you can get your window? Think about it.
I'll think about it, yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, but
And
you know
maybe
what?
get a legitimate quote on it.
Like what we were saying, Mayor, what you were just saying, though, if we're going to do it, we ought to do it under this, like, not find it somewhere else.
Well, we should have another meetings.
No, I understand, but I think this is the place to
In her budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she can think about 500 here, 500 there, but get a legitimate quote on it. That's my suggestion. I don't know if I'm going to go for it or not, but I think I'm going to give you the option to pursue it and give us an idea of what you can do. Okay?
Erica, I've got a question. Oh, Mayor, may I?
Sure.
With the phone, I'm just interested in, you had almost 5,000 in phones for 2016-17, and then it went down, it's great, it went down to 1,200 for last year.
Technology.
What happened with that? Was it?
Which one are you looking at?
Phone.
The phones.
Telephone. But, I mean, is that over, is that everywhere that we've gone down that much, or I don't know, everywhere, Tammy, that the phones have gone down that much in 1 year?
Yes.
I mean, we've gone up again this year, but still it's substantially less than 2 years ago. I'm just curious as to what's happened with that. There's a substantial cost savings.
Yes.
And then it was,
So basically, just like the cell phones, George negotiates every you
Uh-huh.
know, so often a revisit on some of these items. So, but yeah, there was 1 year that it was a substantial difference because he was able to work out some other
So I
cost
would
reductions.
like to ask that every year, since it seems with the phones particularly is one of those things that, and I know personally with phones, they give you a good rate and then, the next year it goes up, that we kind of every year look and make sure that we're getting the best value.
You guys don't have tablets, right? You have tablets.
When you go
so
back
what's
to
the
that
difference
far,
between? Oh, but it's only 3
sometimes
years.
when you
and
go
it's
back
5.
that far, there might have been something within that same budget line item that
Could
made it
be.
4,000.
But it was twice, 2 years in a row, it's like $5,000.
I know, but
and then we went down.
maybe that
for
was the time when we
phones.
switched over to the new tablets.
Yeah.
So they
Oh,
might have
okay.
included that price in
Okay.
that. Again, I have to
Might have been a
confirm.
one-time cost that brought that budget that particular year.
Even so, though, this year is not, it's just a $600 increase, so we're still keeping it way under the 5,000 it used to be.
Anything else on the city clerk's budget?
No, sir.
All right, we're to the city manager's budget.
On page 4-5, the proposed budget is $52,329, or 13.2% lower. The decrease is mainly due to annexation legal costs that we incurred in the current year. Budget also includes the $45,000 for the lobbyist. Other than that, nothing, just the normal, the health insurance cost and retirement increases.
Any questions on the city manager's budget?
I don't have any, Mayor.
I don't have
I have none, sir.
All right. Let's move on to golf.
All right,
All right.
Paul Loring, that's on section 17. Starting on page 17-5 is the pro shop budget. Let me just read some of the highlights in this budget. The proposed budget is $12,150, or 0.6% higher than the current year. The budget includes $40,000 for a new cart barn. The total cost of the cart barn is $80,000. Since council approved $40,000 in the current year's budget, we will need an additional $40,000 in next year's budget to complete the project. The budget includes $1,700 request for replacement Motorola radios for the pro shop staff. The budget also includes a 5-year capital lease for equipment, since our current lease expires this year. The total equipment purchase is $841,121, less $216,121 in proceeds from the auction of the old equipment, for a net total of $625,000. This lease will have an annual budget cost of $137,147, which is approximately the same amount as we have been paying for the past 5 years under the old lease. On page 17.5, you'll have the pro shop budget, which again shows it's an increase of $45,531, and that's because of the $40,000 for the cart barn.
And that's included in the budget at the millage rate the way it's set.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the if it's approved, what's the situation on when it would be built or done?
No, if it's approved, then he can start getting quotes, and we can come back.
But
to
what you're
council.
thinking on when it would be done? 6 months? What do you think? 3 months?
Engineering and permitting, and then construction. Hopefully we could do it in like 5, maybe 6 at
Okay.
the best.
Okay.
I mean, that's fast tracking.
Yeah.
And everything falling into
All right.
space.
Mayor, what did you ask regarding?
Well, they're gonna, if the money that's in the 40,000 is in the budget. It's not a wish thing, it's in the budget. So I said, when the budget's passed and he gets the money, how long is it gonna take to get the barn built? Probably between 5 to 7 months. That's what I wanted to know.
Maybe quicker. It depends on the availability of the manufacturers, of coming in and putting the pieces up. And, you know, again, you gotta go through engineering and permitting, which they already have. And we're actually working with 3 bids we got, all have government contracts. We've all done it for Dade County, Broward County, the state of Florida. Those are the people we're using. So that's the way we're going.
Paul, that's the reason we're getting this barn is because we're transitioning from gas to battery power golf carts. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, the reason you're getting the barn is first of all, it's insufficient, the one you have now.
Okay.
It's not big enough to hold all the equipment. And it's exposed to the outdoors, which takes a wear and tear on any equipment,
And
whether
Durham.
it's golf carts. And also Durham wants us under roof and secured on all sides. So, you know, this has been needed for many years. It's not, the cart barn's not secured. You cut the chain link fencing, get in there. We've dealt with that a couple times. So give you a secured barn to take forward your fleet and maintain it to the way it should be done. And it's needed. It's just absolutely needed.
No,
So-
but regardless of whether it's electric or gas, for the
Yeah.
golf
That's
cart,
what I
it
was
still
getting
needs
to.
a new cart.
Okay.
Because we're increasing the fleet too, right?
Yeah, we're going from 75 to 85 because demand of business. Like in the season, you know, we
Well,
run out of golf carts. I mean, any day of the week we could run out of golf carts. Every Saturday and Sunday it's a no-brainer. But we have Wednesdays and Fridays and Tuesdays. In the season, that we just run out of golf carts.
So where are we as far as transitioning from gas to battery?
Well, we have an RFP getting ready to go out. That'll go out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We'll get the responses back. Before we finish up with the budget in September, we'll have a firm number. Because we'll bring it back to you, to the council. Here's lead batteries, here's what they cost a month. Here's gas batteries, this is what they cost a month. Here's a lithium-ion batteries, this is what they cost a month. And then we gotta look at it from viability of an ongoing business to, you know, our needs or wants. We may want, but we can't afford. We may need, and that's all we can afford, is what we need. You know, it's like I tell my kids, do you want it or do you need it?
Right. Thank you, Paul. That's all I have, man.
Paul, machinery and equipment.
Sticking your neck out a little bit about that electric.
I've been doing that since I got up
I
here.
know.
Machinery and equipment. 64 under the 5707.
That is for,
The Motorola
It's
radio.
a considerable decrease in what.
yeah, because we've got a lot of stuff repaired, and with the new fleet coming on,
Mhm.
we don't have as much demand for repair.
That's a major savings in this to come budget.
We don't have factory maintenance now from the golf cart fleet that we have.
Mm-hmm.
The recommendation I'll be given will be to include that, which it will save us a lot of money.
I got you. That just kind of jumps off the page. That's savings.
Mayor? Paul, the golf cart, what is that going to be made of? I mean, the golf cart barn.
It's metal. It's steel.
What happens?
Prefab building.
What happens to those buildings with a hurricane? Do we anticipate that they'll be blown away, or are they hardened?
They have to
They're
be
hardened?
approved by Miami-Dade County
Is that right?
first
Okay, good.
before we get to it.
Mhm.
Our building zone.
Is it open on the sides, or?
We have garage doors on 2 ends and a side door on the side of the building to access the building.
So the golf carts are inside or secure inside? Okay, good.
Weather, theft,
Mhm.
damage from everything.
And it's open north-south, right?
Current cart barn has survived a couple of storms.
Wood just flows through there.
Yeah.
But it's open north to south though, right?
North, south, and west to east.
No, west to east. It's which is normally the path of
Yeah.
I would just like to say also thank you to both of you. I was by the country club today and one day, week ago. You're doing a great job, of keeping things going, and it looks really good.
Yeah,
The
it's a little
food was
crazy right
available.
now.
If you
Pick any of 'em,
well,
Wassa, food
what
and
but what I
beverage.
think what's important is to anyone who's visiting and using that, they would not notice that everything looks good, looks really great.
Tammy and I had a wedding on Saturday
I
night.
sent you an email.
Yes,
today
that
with
was
pictures.
amazing.
We
Yeah.
literally pulled the rabbit
No,
out.
I know. Obviously the bride's family was thrilled.
But
I was there until midnight.
Wait.
And we made money.
And we made money. We made $2,000.
the thing about this gentleman is that he's a professional, and he's always been a gentleman and a professional in what he does, and he's an asset to our city, to the golf course. And might not like to hear some things he has to say, but he tells you what you need to hear that he has to say. So we appreciate it. Any other questions on the golf course? Okay.
Let me say one thing. I've been doing this for over 38 years, but I don't do it by myself. I have Lori here with me.
Lori, yeah.
Literally is my right-hand man. I have Mason Kegley, which I've been training since I got here. He does a great job. And when we go into situations where people have to step up, they step up. And it's incredible the way that we've been able to get through some of the stuff that we have. But it ain't. I'm the coach, and we all play together.
You drafted good players.
Drafted good players.
Yes.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Lori, too.
You got one more question?
Just real quick, I'm not sure if this is a proper time to ask or if you have any information, but what's going on with the First Tee program? I mean, dialogues.
But we're going to wedge that in between food and beverage and WASA. We're going to throw that in. Well, we're going to find out in November when the election for Mel Reese and International Links
Right, you don't know the answer to that yet.
comes. We've had preliminary meetings, and we'll see where it goes. Everybody will be.
There's nothing to get too excited about
No.
until there's a lot of different things like there's a possibility they might set aside a place for the First Tee to stay there. There's all kind of possibilities. I think it's
You sure?
you shouldn't. It just
What I say, I asked.
yeah,
He said-
it's just something that
I have no idea how you possibly pull this off. I mean, all these first-round draft picks. What do you trade for this? I mean, like Laurie and people like that.
Good budget.
Getting Lori was the coup.
The coup d'état.
Of my entire time that I'll spend here.
Yeah.
But she does phenomenal.
Yeah, that's nice, Paul. Hats off to you,
We're
man.
having relationships with other people, and that's how I got Lori. The gentleman was the agronomist and superintendent at Fisher Island.
Oh, yeah.
He was a friend. And when I got back in town, I reached out to other people, and he's the one that said, "I know a girl that's really good. You may want to call her."
there's a lot.
Here we are 5 years
better
later.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, imagine that, right?
Who's counting?
Well, thank you, you guys. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you.
You can go home now.
Thanks for all your support.
All right, you take
No.
care. We have elderly services next.
Karen? That's on section 16,
Aaron.
16.8 and 16.9. Let me read some of the highlights. The proposed budget is $156,957, or 34% higher than 2017-18. Increase is due to the $165,000 grant received this year from the state for the LSP program. The budget also includes a $49,979 payout to the director that is retiring next fiscal year. Budget also, yeah, I know. Budget also includes some additional costs for the relocation of the seniors to the multi-purpose room at the Aquatic Center during construction of the new center. Karen is here for her last budget workshop.
Yes. But I may come back to haunt you for the aisle.
I believe that too. All right, as I say, anybody have any questions on this budget?
I do.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you.
Better be a good question.
They're all good questions.
Okay.
There's nothing that's a stupid question. Only the one you don't
I didn't
ask.
say that.
All right. Karen, do you need an ice maker? Do y'all need an ice maker?
We have a small ice maker ice for cups and water bottles, comes out of a machine, they can get water and ice. But when we build a new building, there will be a large ice maker in that facility that will accommodate outside groups that need ice, such as the Little League or the Optimus Club, or whoever's using the field can come in and get ice for their teams. We have visiting playground folks that come that also can have the access to that ice. But that's when the new building comes in.
Okay.
Play.
But do you,
Go ahead.
do you want to get one now? Because I heard some folks asking, you know, no, I don't want to use the word complain, but
Well, they're rightfully complaining because
I said I don't want to use that word.
I hear it all day. So don't
Suggestions.
There's a challenge at foot. The current ice machine is having a bit of a hiccup, so there have been 2 occasions when it did not work. So we've had the mechanics coming out to fix it, and we hopefully have got that under control. The other thing, in truth, is that the ice machine that we have is not designed to produce 180 pounds every day. And when they come and they fill up big thermoses and they take it
Right.
home with them, they're depriving someone else of having a cup of ice and cold water. So it's an educational process we're going through.
So you don't feel like you need one
Not-
just to get you
not-
to the
it's
next
not
building?
because we're gonna tear the building down in
Right, but in
6
the
months
meanwhile,
or whatever.
you have, you know, if you need ice, you need ice.
If they need it that bad, they can bring it from home. I'm not worried.
Okay, one other thing that stuck out to me was your electric bill. Your electric bill went up, and we spent about $1 million trying to get the electric bill down, and yours went up. I'm just wondering why is that?
You talking about the $1,000?
Yeah, because we retrofitted the whole city, what,
Yeah, I know.
3 years ago?
But remember, some of these costs involved when they move into the multipurpose room.
Oh, you're saying the
Okay.
projections, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different game.
Okay, so you're thinking of the new building being built, and this is what we're gonna,
If on schedule, our building will be offline probably February.
February, and the new building won't be online until the 1920 budget.
Right, so
Oh.
when they, this is hard, when they relocate the senior center to the aquatic center, then we would absorb the cost of the
Gotcha.
operation at the aquatic center. So the anticipation is the cost will be greater there than in my old building.
all right. I was just wondering, that makes sense. Thank you, that's all I have, Mayor.
Anybody else?
I would just like to throw this up for another time, but I hear a lot from the seniors, the more active seniors that take the floor yoga and all, and are really looking forward to the new senior center to be something that, you know, is something that they can take more part in. They would like the name of the department change from elderly services to maybe seniors or something. They feel like elderly services does not, you know, reach out to the people who are 60 who are considered seniors in our community. So I'm just throwing that out for.
Well, that's a
future.
discussion we gotta have up here at an
Call the
agenda
senior
item.
center, huh?
Okay.
That's not her decision, that's ours.
The department title
Yeah.
is elderly services, so I.
But it used to
her
be the
point-
senior center.
Well, no, the building is the senior center, but the department is elderly.
Department of Elderly Services. Right.
So, I mean, that.
Just I'm throwing it out for the future.
Would that hurt in getting money?
No.
No changing it or anything? No, okay.
With the
We can
super
talk
facts.
about that.
The seasoned citizens.
Anything else?
Thank you, Karen, for the service you and your staff provide for our community.
And we're gonna
Amazing.
miss you.
Yes.
We're gonna miss you, and you seem to be getting younger and younger every time I see you. I don't know. You've done a great job for this city
Something
for a long,
amazing.
long time.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can help in the transition of somebody else that comes in to take it over, you know?
We hope to do that very soon.
And don't cry tonight. No tears, right? No tears. And take care of your family, all right? Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
We go to planning.
Okay, planning on section 8, Chris Hyde is here, page 8.3. The proposed budget is $33,343, or 28% lower than the current year. Decrease is due to the fact that in the current year, we budgeted $35,000 for the EAR study. Chris is here. His budget is basically about the same. The only increase is in operating supplies for 1,100. Other than that, he's
How you doing, Chris?
Hello, Mayor.
Everything good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
A question, man.
Any questions?
I feel like I should know this, but I don't. What's the EAR study?
The EAR is the Evaluation and Appraisal Report. It is due every 5 years, and it's a look at our comprehensive plan and how our progress is. When we do the comprehensive plan, we lay out, we want to do this, we pledge to do that, we're looking to increase our acres of park space, or we're looking to whatever. And then the EAR looks and sees how are we doing with those things that we said that we're going to do.
It's a piece of bureaucracy that we have to do to make somebody some money off of.
Correct. Now, I do expect the estimates that I'm getting on the report are considerably lower than we originally budgeted for. So I think we're going to see a pretty good savings there. One of the reasons is when it was part of the DCA, it was very critical to have, and it was looked at very strongly. And any city that went astray from their comprehensive plan was in serious trouble with DCA, to the point where you couldn't do other activities, all kinds of prohibitions. It had a lot of teeth. It's completely toothless now. Some cities are even opting to simply ignore it and not even do it. I don't want us to be there, but we're going to do a bare bones EAR for the absolute bare minimum things that we need to do in order to be in compliance. Because of course I want us to be in compliance.
Sure.
We're also a year late. That used to be a big problem. That's no longer. We haven't even heard from them. When I try to communicate with them to indicate we're going to be late, I never even hear back. So it went from a very tough tool that the state exercised over the cities to, frankly, close to meaningless.
That's what I went through earlier on. Remember that, Bobby?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Councilman. Boy, we went through.
Yep. Certainly
For
did.
nothing.
On that?
For nothing.
For
For
that's
nothing.
right, for nothing.
For a bunch of money.
This is sort of going to be close to for nothing
Yeah,
also,
great.
but
Yeah,
I think Chris is
but
saying
you're
the same
doing
thing,
it.
right?
You're doing it because you're responsible, and we should do
I
it.
want us to do.
I
want us to
understand
do the
that.
right thing, but
But you know
I
what
just
I'm
wanna
talking
get-
about before, how it was.
Absolutely.
It
I
was.
just want us to get 1 foot over the line. And
I
that's
understand.
Yeah, bottom line, we will comply, period.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Go ahead.
That's all I have.
No, the councilwoman,
Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor has a
Tell me
question.
about the professional services, the $35,000 that's not projected for this coming year. What does that
That's the
represent?
EAR. That's the cost that we originally anticipated for the EAR, because the quotes that we got initially, we were getting sort of the Cadillac version of going
Right.
through the entire document and looking at all this and that. And since
Now
it's
you
really
don't
not
need
looked at
it. Right.
anymore and it has no meaning anymore, I don't want us spending money on that. So we're, like I said, we want to be compliant, but we're going to do the minimal amount that we need to do to get there. And I expect that dollar value now to be considerably lower.
That's great.
I know that we talked about, in a previous meeting, about reviewing some of the ordinances in the city, and that would be done in-house. Is that budgeted in here? Is that included within salary?
From my standpoint, that's just part of my salary, so it would not be reflected in my budget. There may be some reflection in our city attorneys.
Yeah, when we do the city attorney's budget, next workshop, Dan's gonna provide you with a cost, I guess, and Heidi, you can, on what it would cost to revamp the entire code for the city.
The entire land use and zoning
Land
code.
use.
Right now, we're doing
Right.
it
Right.
a piece at a
Piecemeal.
time. As a matter of
Right,
fact,
which
I've
makes
recently
sense,
delivered
right.
to Heidi and Dan some revisions that I'm suggesting to the single-family zoning districts, creating a minimum landscaped area that we do not have now, a maximum lot coverage, the maximum size of a house that can cover a lot. We do not have that now. Some different things that I think will make it easier that we continue to see variances on that I'm trying to address through code changes, so.
And the CBD changes you wanted is for the 27th meeting?
Yes, the CBD will probably be 27th.
Of August.
And we've already got 2 feelers on 2 properties in there. Both architectural firms tell me they're about to go under contract to be retained to start the work on each of those projects, on the theater and on the strip center on Hook Square.
Okay, good.
So that was,
I think gives us an opportunity to really protect ourselves and make sure that what we propose is actually what's going to happen, and we have in-house, you know, the talent to do it, so. that's why I'm
What's going on with the Palmetto property? Is that proceeding, or what's going on?
Larry Butler?
Yeah,
I don't think he's.
I don't see any
he's
activity
doing-
over there.
nothing?
From what he's told us, the numbers for his investors don't make sense.
Okay.
So, I talked to Manny Perez too, a couple of weeks ago, and, I don't know if you have anything to add, but I
No,
don't
well,
think it's looking good.
I've reached out to a couple of people to see if they're interested in a joint venture with him to take some of the risk away. The way the numbers are right now, that it would be anywhere from a slight loss to a slight profit, and no one is gonna risk that kind of money.
Gotcha.
For just a slight profit when the downside is a slight loss. They wanna see that the numbers are from slight profit to a pretty healthy profit. They don't want anything with the arrow
The other
below
way.
E, and right now it is, but I've been reaching out to some people that I know in the business to see if we can get them together and come up with something a little more creative, to get some costs down and make that a money maker. He'd still like to do it. I'd very much still like to see it happen, so we'll see.
Anything else for the
have nothing.
planner?
Nothing.
Anything else? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Oh, we'll take, that's in here, we'll tackle that next time.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
We go to Public Works Department.
All right, Mr.
13.
Powell. All right, let's start
Not likely,
off.
sir.
Why, you're leaving too?
No.
Let's start off on page 13-3 with his administrative budget. The proposed budget is $13,314, or 3.4% higher. Increase is mainly due to increased healthcare and pension costs and the 3% COLA. The total public works budget, when you include all his divisions, is $1,900,135, which is $126,287, or 6.3% lower than the current year budget.
Good night, Karen.
On page 13-3, you'll see his administrative budget.
I know that this isn't part of this budget, but where are we at with the boat, the ramp? What's going on with the ramp?
We'll be moving forward with the construction in just under 2 weeks. The contractor that's gonna be doing the work fell behind on other jobs because of the recent weather that we had. I've submitted all the paperwork for the tiki hut. They were supposed to get with me this week to schedule. We can do the tiki hut before the slab before the tiki hut. Either way, whoever comes first, the chicken or the egg, will get it done.
Thank you.
It's moving forward.
And we're in the process of getting the signage that's there. I sent it to city attorney for his review. We sent it to the Florida League Risk Management for their review, the chief for their review. So once it's finalized, I'll send it out to you so you can see what it looks like.
Okay.
Could I mention something just off the record, but regarding
has
that?
to be on the record.
Okay, on the record, but not related to the budget, but for the boat ramp. When they constructed, could we look at having a ramp, a handrail ramp or something, so that I'm anticipating in case, you know, it gets kind of slippery or whatever, that there's something to, if that could.
I believe the material and the way they're gonna design the boat ramp moving forward, I think that it's gonna minimize that, because I think that was part of the discussion that we had a couple of years ago. Let's wait and see what the actual product is and what it's gonna look like, and then we can move forward with that. I don't think it would be that big of a deal, but we'd also have to see what South Florida Water Management say is gonna be on that too, because they have to be able to access that ramp also. We never know what type or size equipment they're gonna bring in there, so
That's
we'd
a
have
good
to
point.
factor
They bring
that
up
in
those
to
big
see
ones.
If they would, you know, permit
Yeah, but
it
these,
or
the new
allow it.
materials they build for these ramps are have the abrasives enough that it's supposed to not, you're not supposed to be slippery.
Right.
But
And
it
it's
is
something
fresh
similar.
water. Fresh water's, I think, a little
Tom, it's
different
supposed
than
to
the
look like
salt
the
water. as far
sandbags,
as
you know, like
that goes.
bags.
Any other questions on this page?
Just real quick on the liability insurance, Tom. You knocked off $3,000. How did that happen? That's very unusual.
That's a number that we give them. It's based on salaries and on the insurance.
So
renewal.
So in other words, it's kind of analogous
Correct.
with the regular salaries then. Okay.
We got more smarter people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, wait. Thank you. You just answered my question.
Okay, the next section on page 13-7 is the Streets Division. The proposed budget is $3,163, or 0.8% higher than current year. The budget includes $50,000 for citywide tree planting and $11,955 in retirement payout to one employee retiring next year. You look at page 13.7, I believe, and I'll let Tom speak to this, but he would like to see if the tree planting, the 50,000 can be reduced to 25, and he can add that 25 to tree trimming in the next section.
So in other words, he wants to, it's my opinion, as we were there in Arbor Day, and I was talking to Buzz Fleischman, and there are a lot of trees that are stressed that are really good storm, they're going to tumble anyway. And I agree with that. I think that I think there ought to be, in my mind, there ought to be some kind of program for the people that want to plant on their swell to give them permission to buy their own trees and plant on the swell.
We do, but a lot of times they don't want to incur those costs.
Okay.
And then they try to rely on us to do it.
But I mean, I'd still promote it as much as I could. But I'm in agreement with you about to switch the money that way.
Right.
I don't
Well,
know about the rest of the council.
I would not want to do that. I would hope, I don't think we should take from this very valuable tree planting, which is something critical to our city, to, for tree trimming. I'd like to figure out if there's a way we can do both.
Well, this is the thing. When we do our annual street tree planting, we generally go with requests first. We do have residents that call in. I probably got about 8 to 12 residents right now that are on hold for trees for the new year. And then anything beyond that, I would actually go out and scout the city and pick locations. And then in picking those locations, we leave notices, and then the residents call in, I don't want a tree or that tree or the tree. And then that's very time consuming. It does take about a good 30 days for that process to go out and try to find logistics for the trees. What we are in a critical state now with our street tree planting. We, as of this morning, have just about exhausted the remaining funds that we just had allocated a few months ago, the additional funding. And I have for tree trimming, and I have about 42 work orders right now on hold, which is about 38 trees that need to be trimmed. I am trying to do a lot of the tree trimming that we can manage, some of the minor stuff in-house with a couple of guys that I've been working with, or I personally will go out there myself and do the trimming too to try and offset some of the costs. But $100,000 for what we have out here, we have more trees than we have people. We have trees in alleyways, we have trees on the streets. You guys see it every day. We're getting, a lot of these large trees now are getting hit by the delivery trucks. We have residents who can't get in and out of their driveways, and I can't trim them as fast as they're calling. A lot of people don't think or realize that their trees need to be trimmed until they see our trucks out there or the contractor out there working in their block, and then all of a sudden I'll get 6 to 8 more phone calls that day. I don't just run out and do a work order for everybody that calls. I'll go out and look at it to see if it's a legitimate call or, what we can do to offset it. But, we've always kind of been in a little bit of a deficit with our tree trimming as a whole citywide. And I think for, budget's sake over the next couple of years, we need to gear more towards doing high maintenance on the trees, because if we do the cuts properly, which is where we're at right now, we can get a 3 to 5 year wait before that tree has to be trimmed again. We've always just been giving them little nips and tucks to get by. and that's where our heavier costs
I
are.
look at it because of the situation. If you go around town and you really look at it, I look at it more as a liability situation. Because if you look at the trees, especially when we were at the park at the Arbor Park, if a good strong 70-mile-an-hour wind comes around in this town, doesn't even have to be a hurricane. There's going to be branches and things flying all over the place because a lot of the stuff up there is loose, and it's rot. And something, this is something I tried to do when this hurricane came through. We have to sit back sometimes and fix the problem and then move forward with the plantings again. This is my opinion, and because I see it, you just like the tree in front of my house, one of the main branches going through the tree. If a good wind comes, that branch is going to come down. It's going to come on down somebody's car or blow down. And I agree with you. And since you're the professional, I would go ahead and go with what you would like to do.
Right. I mean,
but the rest of the council has to do it too.
I know that we've lost a considerable amount of trees due to the various events and things like that. But, I think we have more of a specific need to try and clean up what we have than to keep, pruning. I just can't meet all of the needs of the city's requests with the $100,000.
All right, we can't vote on this because it's a workshop, but we can have consensus.
We're going to go through that money fairly quickly, and I'm going to be coming back at some point in time.
Okay, but we can have consensus.
May I ask one question? Tom, are you saying that you don't have the manpower? Should you have the money? Should you have the money you need for additional tree trimming? I'm totally for tree trimming. That's something that needs to be done. What I'm asking is, are you saying that you don't have the manpower to, should we find additional money for the tree trimming to do the tree trimming and the tree planting? Or are you saying that if we found additional money for the tree trimming and left the tree planting as is, that both things can be done?
Yeah, both things can be done. What I'm saying is $100,000 for the quantity of trees that we have to trim right now is not going to be enough. And I had even told you guys that last year's budget. When we spoke, I said $200,000 to $300,000 isn't going to get us to where we really need to be. Like I said, we, and my staff and myself included, we tried to minimize giving money to the contractor for things that we can handle in-house. I try to save the more technical or the more dangerous or the more heavier workloads for them to make sure that we get the bang for our buck. What I'm trying to do is we don't need specifically $50,000 for street tree planting if we just go by the residents who are requesting trees at this time. You know what I'm saying? Which is what we were able to do. We were able to accommodate the list last year by reducing it to 25. So we got the best of both sides. Able to continue with trimming, and we still met the needs of the residents.
The request.
And I think we're going to be in that ballpark now. Rather than trying to find places to put extra trees, right now we could utilize that extra money, better doing the trimming. We'll still get trees, but we just won't focus on trying to do 100. We can do 30 or 50.
Right, I understand.
How about the availability of trees? Is that something that
There hasn't been an issue with that.
Okay.
The resources that we use, they truck trees in from the Ocala, North Florida area, and the more people who buy, the lesser the costs are for the trees to come to. We piggyback, and the trucks come all the way down to as far as the Keys. The more people they can get to load or purchase trees, the less it is for them on the back end.
Gotcha.
I just want to say I think the tree trimming is a need. It's a need, and it's a need that addresses possible liability that the city could be facing if we don't take care of it. Whereas I'm all for planting. I think that we have to recognize the fact that we have that need. There are trees that are distressed that are going to create issues. So I would be willing to agree with that.
The situation. My way of looking at it is a tree. To plant a tree is a one-time event for 3 years, 5 years, maybe. But the tree trimming, once you do it, it's a cycle. You plant the tree, you don't have to bother with it for a while. But with the tree trimming, it's probably got to be more frequent. So I kind of see where the mayor's going with this relative to how many trees we have in this town already. You add to that, you add to the equation, you add to the problem, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with 1 year sitting back and cleaning up. You know, we had a major storm, critical, that came through here. $4 million in cleanup.
Oh, that taught us a lesson, I think, in a way.
So I think now that you're in, especially besides what we're talking about here, especially to pick the right kind of tree to replant.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
know that where we plant them, how tall they're supposed to be. I mean, we should not make. I look at it as you can't make the same mistakes over and over again, going all the way back to Wilma and Katrina. Wilma and Katrina weren't really strong storms, but boy, it was an absolute disaster in this town, and this was even worse because of the fact that in Wilma and Katrina we didn't do our due diligence, or we couldn't because people vote
They wouldn't let you.
with their heart. They don't vote with what is necessary. I couldn't get the council at that time to do their due diligence of getting it fixed up first, then have a program to go forward. I think we're in a position now that there's so many trees that are stressed, and I mean a lot of these trees should come down. I know you're going to trim them and try to save them, but I think now's the time for us as council to be responsible and start from now and allow Mr. Nash to do what he's supposed to do, and then maybe in another year, then think about how we're going to replant this city. That's how I look at it.
It's
Yeah,
about
we've
being
had
proactive. You're
Yeah,
being
we had
proactive.
about 8 residents already take advantage of the ordinance change that you guys proposed
Right.
a few months back with regards to removing the trees to be able to offset the cost of the hauling of the debris and not having to mitigate.
Yep.
We did have, I thought we were going to get an overwhelming response out of that, but we've had about 8 so far that have taken advantage of it, and they were very legitimate calls, when we were out there, and it's gonna be positive to those neighborhoods where some of those trees have come down.
Well, by requesting what you are, that you feather more of the labor toward the trimming and decrease on the planting, you're not sitting there saying you're not going to plant any trees, right?
No, we're just going to, like I said, I'm only going to concentrate on the residents who request the trees up to the
Gotcha.
dollar amount that we get.
Gotcha.
Instead of me trying to go out and find 100 trees to plant, we'll plant up to
What's
whatever-
requested.
Correct.
Tom, where are you right now, say, relative to somebody requesting, if I were to call to request a tree?
Well, right
to
now,
plant, would you be able to do that?
He said that
With the
earlier.
budget now?
I have probably about 12 trees on the list right now that have been requested so far, just the last couple of months.
So I guess what I'm asking is, could you still meet the needs of more residents requesting
Yes.
trees right now
Correct, yes.
and for next year?
Well, the monies that we had last year, the 25,000, we've already invested in trees. They're already planted. I generally try to plant the trees every year, March, April, May, in that time frame, so that we capture the summer rains right now. So whatever funding is allocated tonight, we won't plant anything with this money until next fiscal, next
that.
new year, which would be March, April, May, in that time frame. So I could get another 10 or 12 requests out of that list.
That's no different than when they, in the forests up there in Tallahassee or the major Georgia pine groves, there's a certain time and period when you plant, and certain time period when you burn, because
Right.
that's your best start for the tree to grow.
Right,
You
and then
don't
we
just
also
plant it at any time.
we also have the tree trust fund that we can fall back on, where we have the folks that do mitigate and that are fined for various events. We have that account too that we can fall back to if we run short on, the tree planting budget. I really try to tap into the street tree planting. If there's enough funds in there, we tap into that also. So
All
there's
right.
a little bit of resource there.
All right, are we gonna, in consensus, we're gonna go with his proposal, 125,
We'll
125?
reduce it from
50 to
the
25.
50 to 25 on the street tree planting.
Right, and then put the 25
25.
into the,
tree
do I have
The tree trimming.
consensus to
I'm
move
in
forward?
agreement. I'm in agreement.
You're in agreement? Councilman Best?
Yes, I am.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes, if that's what Tom thinks is best.
Councilman Petrolanga?
Now, do we need to come to consensus tonight? Because I'm hearing you all.
Why not?
We need to trim them, but
Well, we
don't
have
need to-
consensus already.
I'm sorry?
We have 4 already.
Can I say what I have to say?
Sure, yeah, but I'm just saying for
No, I hear you, I can count.
Okay.
1, 2.
Okay, all right.
But what I suggest is that we wait a little longer to to see where we are in the budget. We don't need to do all that money we're talking about. Shift it from one part of the budget to another, because maybe we can shift less if we can come up with some
If we can
money.
come up with more,
Right.
In other words, you want to maybe add to the 25,000.
I want to keep planting. We just want
That's
to-
what I'm saying. So you want to, you're trying to maybe see if you could get something to go. Okay, but
I-
still,
yeah.
right now we're going with this proposal, but we could work.
That's what I'm saying.
We
Maybe
could work.
shouldn't go so far.
No, I think we should make a decision and then work on the 25,000.
How about if we get more money later
But
on?
what I'm suggesting is whatever monies we get moving forward, we need to allocate it more towards the trimming.
What he's saying, if you gave him 300,000 for tree trimming, he could use
It's
it.
not gonna be enough, but we just went through a tornado and we just went through a hurricane. We lost a lot of trees. So I
Correct.
hear you, we need
Correct.
to trim them, but we need to plant too, because
Correct,
we
and
just
we,
lost a lot of trees.
and we have. We
Right.
put in 80 trees right after the tornado. We didn't lose a one with the hurricane.
Is that enough?
And then after the hurricane, we've just put in probably about another 30 or so that were requested by the residents. You gotta understand too, when I go out there and I knock on doors, people don't want trees anymore. They've lived through the damages, the problems. They don't want the debris, the mess. I don't wanna force or make somebody take a tree that I know is not gonna survive. You know, we've had to go out in some instances where we've planted trees and we've had to relocate them. Once you plant a tree and then a month later you have to relocate them, the chances of survivability are cut in half. So if they don't want a specific tree or a type of tree or a tree at all, I don't force it on them, because I know the end result is somehow or another it's gonna either magically disappear or it's gonna die. And if I don't have absolute physical proof that that person caused it, then how do I recoup our losses?
Tom, but I think there are, on the other hand, a lot of residents that may not reach out to you for a tree, but, you know, would like to see trees in their front yard if it was proposed. So I have a feeling it's probably 50-50.
Well, you might be right, but that's before it was probably 80-30.
Okay,
You
but
understand, you understand what you're saying is, yeah, maybe it is 50-50, a tree or no tree, or bush, a hedge, or before a tree, because he's out there every day. His point being that now maybe it is 50-50, but in years past it was 80-30, I want a tree. 8 out of 10 people, or 80-30, can't be 80, it's 70-30. Maybe 7 out of 10 people wanted a tree. Maybe now 5 out of 10 people want a tree, because I think, listen, we've been through Katrina and all these you know, it's disheartening. And if you're a resident that has to live through the pickup and the debris, you start to think, just common sense tells you, maybe I could put something different green and keep the environment good than a big tree.
Yeah.
So I think that's it's human nature to think about something that might work better than having to have a 30-foot tree fall down on my roof, or a
Right, I'm not
30-foot
saying we're
tree.
not gonna plant, I'm just
I
saying is
understand.
we're gonna.
And ultimately, you're the professional. I mean, we can sit up here and, you know what's really happening out there, and you know the realities of what you're gonna encounter and everything, so I defer to your expertise. But I think Councilman Petrolanda's on the same page with me. Should we get more money, which is what I was asking before, if we can find money elsewhere to add to the tree trimming, can we keep the 100,000 for tree? And do you have the labor to be able to commit to the 100,000? You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah, I mean, the contractor's gonna go as far as we can let him go. I mean, if I run out of funding, I can't keep him on. As of this morning, between now and when this fiscal money hits, we're not gonna do any more trimming unless somebody in my staff or myself can do it. And that's only gonna be a critical situation. The 40-something work orders that I have right now open are not gonna be touched until October 1.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Heidi,
I
can
mean,
you
if-
explain
if you get the 50,000 for the tree planting, 75,000 or 100,000 for street tree planting, I'll plant the trees. But right now, I'm telling you, we have a critical need, a specific need for tree trimming. And because of the situation that we're in and because of the budgeting process, I see more of a need for trimming and taking away a lot of the liability issues that we have currently and focus more on that than on the planting. I'm just trying to spread the peanut butter a little thin here without creating a higher burden. You know, if there's a way that we can get a little bit of the best of both worlds, that's what I'm trying to make happen here. But at the end of this whole process, when you guys are sitting there trying to figure out where to put extra money, put it all
Put it
in
on
the
the
street tree
trees.
planting.
Right,
Put it all in the
right.
street. Either
So,
way it goes.
we'll-
But right now, if that can't
We're gonna,
happen,
we'll go like, we
Right.
have consensus to go with your thing, and then in the meantime, we got a couple more budget meetings, and maybe we have the manager and staff to look and to see if they can find some money to put towards the tree plantings. Plus, there's also, some of our, representatives, like, Brian, he donated, I don't know how many trees did he
he
donate?
gave us 12 that we put in.
12, maybe we can reach out. We're in a kind of a bad situation till after the elections are all over and done on November. And after that, these people that have got elected that represent us, we hit them hard so that we can get maybe as many trees that way when he starts to
Well-
plant in March, April, May.
Right.
So
How many
I think we
trees
should
is
support his efforts,
$45,000?
which we are, and let's go anything
Double
else.
type of trees we get in various,
Um,
about 30 or
Mayor,
so,
if I
30
may
or
ask
40,
one other
about
question.
35 to 40.
Tom, is the Adopt a Tree programs, I know we've had them here in Miami Springs in the past occasionally, do those benefit our community? Like if we were to have another one here where we would encourage residents to go get 2 trees each, would that help you if we were to
Those
turn them over
trees-
to you?
The majority of the trees that they give away are fruit trees, and we don't allow those in our swales for the ordinance. And then the others, the one that are viable trees, are saplings. They're 2 to 3 feet, and our ordinance doesn't allow that small. It's gotta be 10 to 12 feet overall
So this
height.
won't help you with the,
No, not right now.
Unless you want to put fruit on the swales.
Yeah, Buzz Fleischman just got us 10 of these slash pines, just recently, a few days ago, and I put those on Quail Avenue this morning. I got a nice row of those slash pines right there on the open field on the,
You
the
donated
Quail
them to the
side.
city?
Yes.
See, there
So,
you get,
I
you
put-
get the tree. The trees will come.
Yeah, I put 10 of them
They'll come.
on that open field down there. I started with some cassias a couple of years ago that were donated. I couldn't get any more, and I figured the
They'll
slash
come.
pines would be nice over there.
They'll come. You drill a hole, they'll come.
Mhm.
You got to watch though them trees like in the Wizard of Oz.
And then we also have residents who mitigate that don't want a tree in their property and they'll donate. We've had quite a few of that this year as well, that we've put in various places. So we do get trees above and beyond what we do plant.
And what we pay for.
Yeah, it happens.
All right. Anything else on this part of the budget?
No, I support what he wants to do with that, moving that to the trim, because you remember that after that last wind event we had, and when Rebecca Sosa came out, and we all met over there. Where the hell was it on?
Falcon
No, it was
After the
close.
tornado?
After the tornado,
Yeah, it was around
and we
the
walked.
90.
William, and we walked around back, actually at Tom's behest, and we saw. And you said, look at how all these trees, and they were on the property, and they were all leaning toward and FP&O was out there.
Yeah.
You said, this is citywide, this kind of thing, and we said at the time that going forward, what we ought to be thinking about doing is talking folks into letting us help them out with that in some fashion. So it's not just public properties we're talking about here. I mean, it's a much bigger picture, I think. So
Okay.
I support what you want to do with that.
Okay. We go to public properties.
Public properties, page 13-10. The proposed budget is $105,300, or 12% lower than current year. The decrease is due to the fact that in the current year we incurred $200,000 in tree trimming costs after Hurricane Irma. The budget includes $100,000, which will now be $125,000 for citywide tree trimming, as well as $15,000 for replanting islands in the downtown area. The budget also includes one additional maintenance worker position due to the increased workload on the division, which maintains all city green areas and bike paths.
Would we consider that 15,000 to put it on top of the 25,000 for plantings, and maybe wait a year before we do the? I mean, I'm throwing this out.
Yeah, I know.
You know, in other words, this is where it comes down to a decision. Do we want to go with? If you want to support a position of adding that 15,000
I
to
wouldn't mind that
plantings,
Charlie Lynn
or do you want to go ahead and do the thing?
We were gonna do the strip in front of the Taekwondo area and the one by Barry's Cleaners. One of the local realtors reached out to me a few weeks ago, and then he touched base with me yesterday. He wants to get a group of some of the older realtors and some outsiders to come in and try to generate some funding for,
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if it's the one at Barry's Cleaners or if it's the island on the
Well, the
income.
Barry's Cleaner Island, you did already. It looks
No,
great.
it's the one behind it. There's two
Oh, that
islands
little
over
one
there.
behind it.
Right. The island right now that's between the gas station and the Ray's Taekwondo.
Yeah.
We were gonna take all those trinettes that are there out, and we were gonna put myrtles in there.
Okay.
Is what we were proposing with this
No, but I'm
funding.
just trying to make a point. If you can make a decision on what's more important to you. You want the tree plantings of the 15 to go there and wait on the island, or not. Now, I want to do the island, but I'm throwing out what you have to do sometimes. You got to give up something sometimes to get what you want. But I just I'm trying to create a point here that you could do that. You
This-
could take
this-
the 15,000 and put
This
it
is
towards
an open
plantings.
window for me. I'm open for.
I know you are.
See, I think the island is important, especially with what we've voted on with the district downtown overlay, that we need that area even more attractive to attract the right kind of development there.
I'm wondering if with the young ladies that applied for the public challenge, and I know they're looking to beautify with butterfly garden or something, and they were looking around the circle, if possibly they're I believe they're kind of spreading their scope a little more if they get that funding of where to do the plantings. If that island.
Well,
you
it's
might
in the
consider
budget.
that instead of
It's in the budget.
15,000.
You want to keep it the way it is?
Also, keep in mind that if we're trying to develop that area, then maybe we can get one of the developers to
Well, that'll come.
sponsor the island that y'all want to do, and you shift that money.
That's what he's saying, they're gonna come in to do some of that.
Right, but you want to use the money from the island so you can promote the beautification of that area, that's what you just said.
No, that I
What
wanna
I'm saying is maybe you should wait and let them do it, and then we use the 15,000 to move it to growth.
How long you want to wait?
Is
How
this-
long should we wait
Do we?
for them to do that?
How long, how far along are they with that piece of property that we talked about the other day?
The gym?
The one that we met?
Yeah, the gym. Nothing yet. They haven't presented any plans yet. or
What
anything.
gym?
Like
The
Chris
theater.
said, I think they were closing on both of them, so.
They're gonna make a gym there?
Well, we could leave it. We could leave it there and then see what comes in. We'll leave it there, see what comes in. Okay, what else we got?
Do we need to decide on that island money tonight?
I said we're.
No, I think we got
Leave
time.
it, what do you mean by leave it there, like?
Leave it in the budget, and we can think about that.
Shift it down
We're not
there,
gonna have
okay,
to do
all right.
anything with it till October, so.
Right, all this is just kicking the can.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, building maintenance, page 13-14. The proposed budget is 15,037, or 5.3% higher than the current year. Budget includes one additional maintenance worker position due to the increased workload on the division which maintains all city buildings. The budget also includes $9,770 to replace the main electrical distribution panel at the country club and $1,800 to upgrade the track lighting in the city hall lobby.
William, what page are you on?
15, 13,
13, 14, 13.
or 13, 14, sorry,
Okay.
Maria.
Okay.
All right, no questions? Move on. Fleet maintenance.
I have a quick one.
That's on
Mayor,
page,
before we move on, I have one just real quick one on that. It's on 13, 14. Why is the medical insurance in this particular, this appears to almost have doubled. And I've been watching the others, and it's not close to doubling. This is almost double. 7870 to 16288.
Okay, remember you have a new position that's being budgeted for.
Okay.
And number two, it all depends when you have employees come in, whether they have single coverage or family coverage. So that's why it fluctuates.
Okay, that one just kind of jumped off the page,
Yeah,
you know. Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks, William. Thank you.
Okay, we can move on to fleet maintenance.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The proposed budget is $54,500, or 69% lower than this current year. The decrease is due to the increased cost incurred in 2017-18 due to Hurricane Irma and the tornado.
And probably also because of a lot of new vehicles, right?
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff is still under warranties.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, section 15 is the CITT fund, road and transportation. It's on page 15-2.
Proposed budget is $224,849, or 27.8% lower than this current fiscal year. $15.1.
Do we have any
Dash one.
questions on that?
What brought the cost down? Tammy, what specifically?
Sorry, I turned the page here.
15-2,
It's $224,849, or 27.8% lower than the current budget. If you turn to 15.2,
Right.
then let's see, what was the major decrease?
Well, it's
We have no
improvements other than buildings
improvements.
for 110,000.
Oh, we brought the, yeah, which before
the
was only
99, yeah.
$137, and
Yeah.
that jumped up last year.
Okay, any questions on this? Okay, so then we'll move on.
Okay, let's move on to section 19.
Dash one.
That's the sanitation.
The proposed
Fund.
budget is $89,747, or 3.7% higher than this current year.
Increases due to the retirement payouts of $46,330 to 2 employees, as well as the 3% COLA increases. Again, this budget is funded through sanitation fees that are collected on the tax bills.
Questions in this section?
You go on section 20. Start on this page. Just put in this page by mistake.
Got it.
So start on 20-2. Okay, the final one for Tom is Stormwater Fund. That's on page 20-3. The proposed budget is $128,275, or 26.2% higher than the current fiscal year. This budget includes a stormwater project at the 200 block of North Royal, Poinciana, at a cost of $113,000. This project has been on hold for years, and now we have increased our stormwater fees. We're able to fund it. This is a gentleman, I'm sure those of you who have been in council for a number of years. What's his name?
Beltran.
Mr. Beltran.
Beltran, yeah.
Who has been complaining for years about the flooding in that area.
Right.
And we finally have the funds to be able to do that project.
Yes.
The last one.
20-3.
Guys went fast. Okay, so any questions on stormwater?
That's gonna be put in, I mean, going forward, right, to handle that problem?
Yeah, there'll
It's
be
included.
there'll be drainage there, I think 3 boxes in there, and they'll be graded, and then paved. It'll be a solid surface, once we're finished.
Okay.
Because right
This
now
is-
it's currently a rock,
Right.
and gravel area.
Yeah.
So this is across from like Bella Bakery?
No, this is,
No, no, no.
This is where is this?
the alleyway that's between Canal Street and North Royal, between Esplanade, is it Market Street? Market Street and.
To Market.
Where the Bell South building is.
Oh,
right in
okay.
that area, where the,
Yeah, that gets really bad.
Yeah, it gets kind of wet there when it
Yeah,
rains.
really.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer if the funds are here now and it's something that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, it'll clean the place up.
Mhm.
We got finance next.
All right, finance, let's go to page, do the first division, the administrative division on page 6-4. The proposed budget is $18,610, or 4.5% higher than the current year. Increase is due to increases in health insurance costs and a 3% COLA for all employees.
How many employees are there at finance there, William?
5?
5.
4 and a half. We got a part-time, and we actually have 1.
You're the other half.
Huh?
You're the other half.
Moira.
Moira.
No, but you're the other half to
I'm
make
the
5.
other half, yeah.
Any questions on finance?
Okay, the final one for tonight is on page 6-9. That's the professional services budget that Tammy oversees. The proposed budget is $6,803, or 3.3% higher than the current year. Again, the increase is due to the increase in healthcare costs and the 3% COLA for the employees.
Basically ditto, right?
That's 3 employees there?
In professional services?
Right.
It's, well, I have 2 plus the half of Maria from downstairs is half on mine.
Tammy, Anna, and
Tammy, Anna, and then Maria, who's the cashier downstairs.
Yep.
She's half finance, half professional.
So you oversee them 2 young ladies?
I do.
You oversee. Any other questions about that? It's a nice division, though. They do a good job.
They're great.
All right. So, anything, that's it for tonight. We did everything we were supposed to do. Looks like we made a couple changes in the, we're gonna allow the clerk to see how she can research for
her window.
We moved.
Our 48-inch screen TV with a wireless camera on the roof.
Well, what am I gonna do then? I'm not coming to the council meeting. I'm gonna sit there and watch.
How much is it?
We moved this, the tree trimming and the tree planting, and we moved a little bit of money out at somewhere. I forgot, 500.
It's not that easy.
1,500, so,
How do you put that
into our
up?
budget for maybe a special event or something.
And we may be able to cut down on the phone a little bit.
And
Another
she's gonna
1,000 or
research the
something
phone.
from the
Yeah.
city council phone. I'm hoping another 1,000 or 2. William, Mayor, if I may, I just wanted to thank William and Tammy. Again, the budget, the way y'all present it and everything you do, an exemplary job.
And I want to thank all the people that are participating in the audience for $22 million.
Yeah, really, right?
Yeah.
We'll see in about 3 months from now.
3. Yeah, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Why?
Let me see if,
There's nothing else to
So we
say.
haven't done the formal.
Haven't done what? What haven't we done?
No, you haven't done the formal.
Well, I know because I'm going to do it now.
just gonna do it.
This meeting's adjourned. I wish I had that button. That was easy.
Sure.
What time? Afternoon, maybe?
What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? What time's good for you? Let's see. I got something.